fascinating part of any book, film, or person is their backstory, the tale hidden in between the lines. When I glance back at my own, what amazes me the most is how the mystical links in the chain of chance that brought this book into the world, my heart, and your hands and ears, came as a result of all my unanswered prayers. This mystery makes me smile in grateful puzzlement, for I have no explanation as to why the tears we shed over our failures prepare our souls for the growth we'll need for our future successes. Simple Abundance was my third book. I had previously written 2 books on Victorian family life, and I was about to begin writing the next on Victorian decorative details. However, the thought of ruminating on ruffles and flourishes for a year brought dread to my heart. What I wanted to read was a book that would show me how to reconcile my deepest spiritual, authentic, and creative longings with often overwhelming and conflicting commitments to my daughter, my marriage, invalid mother, work at home, work in the world, siblings, friends, and community. I knew I wasn't the only woman hurtling through real life as if it were an out-of-body experience. I knew I wasn't the only woman frazzled, depressed, worn to a raveling. But I also knew I certainly wasn't the woman with the answers. I didn't even know the questions. I could find no such book. The author, Toni Morrison, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1993, observed, "If there is a book you really want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it." I took her advice to heart. I wanted so much: money, success, recognition, genuine creative expression, but I had absolutely no clue as to what I truly needed. At times, my passionate hungers were so voracious I could only deal with them through denial. I was a workaholic, careaholic, and perfectionist. I couldn't remember the last time I'd been kind to myself. Was I ever? More often than it feels comfortable to admit, I was an angry, envious woman, constantly comparing myself to others, only to become resentful because of what seemed to be missing from my life, although I couldn't have told you what that was. Money was an enormous, emotionally charged issue that controlled my ability to be happy because I let it. Money was the only way I could measure my success and self-worth. If I couldn't write a check on my accomplishments, they didn't exist. Frustrated and unable to fathom why some women appeared to lead much more fulfilling lives, even though I was conscientiously connecting all the dots, I careened between feeling that I was frittering my life away to feeling that I was sacrificing it on the altar of my own ambition. I was a woman in desperate need of simple abundance. And why did my life need to change? Like 50 million other working mothers, my daily round had become a tug of war between other people's demands and expectations and my own genuinely conflicted desires and unrequited needs. I frantically multitasked from one obligation to the next, so fast that my spirit felt as if it was constantly sprinting to catch up with me, which it finally did when I collapsed into bed. Mornings were a major source of dread. My first conscious breath was a sigh. My awakening thought was how to make it through the day. Of course, I never complained to anyone else, but I whined to myself and God until literally the sound of my own nagging nearly drove me mad. One morning I awoke physically exhausted and spiritually bankrupt. Money was tight, too. I'd lost 2 lucrative consulting jobs, and the freelance market was shrinking fast because the only story in town was downsizing. I was so sick and tired of concentrating on what was missing from my life. Heaven knows I didn't want to write.